So Sonic Mania sucks! Okay, they're all gone. Whew. I do want to rant about something, because I'm not going to be too harsh about this. I'm not. But I was jotting down some thoughts and some notes, and I realized that I'm never going to replay Mania. And that's a damn shame. I want to explain why for just a second. You see, there's this problem, right? And it's called There's a Lives System. Now, I've actually already had this rant before. If you've actually paid attention to anything I've ever covered with regards to the Mega Mans or the Marios, which also have a live system. Don't all the Sonic games have lives? Now, that's an interesting question. Because of the ones we played, the answer to that question is nope. It's actually a toggle. You can choose to have lives or not. And what I find really funny and interesting is that obviously drastically improved my enjoyment of the game. But not just because I suck and I'm worthless and I'm terrible, and if I died, the world would be a better place. It's because Sonic games are all about mastery. This is something I've said for years, this is something I've heard for years, right? The way you get mastery is you try again. And this, I actually found myself falling into this trap. I didn't even realize I was doing it during the Titanic Monarch Zone. Is anytime I would die, I'd be like, oh, that sucks. But it was just like a bump. It was just a tiny little bump in the road. Because it's like, no problem. I'll just try again. Whoop, okay, I'll just try again. Whoop, okay, I'll just try again. Because that's what Sonic's about. Learning where you're going, learning what you're doing. Yeah, it's the Celeste thing, right? You're not supposed to redo the entire stage in Celeste if you die 3 times. That's insanity. So, without even really thinking about it, when I was going through Sonic 1 and 2 and CD and 3 and Knuckles, I hate the way... 3K, we're just going to call it 3K because that's what everyone else calls it. It was fine. It was smooth. Whoops, dead. Alright, let me try again. No, hey, let me try again. Alright, let me try again, right? Same concept. It's just... right? Having a toggle for lives completely fixes this issue immediately. So yeah, I'm going through Titanic Monarch and just doing my usual thing, and I didn't realize I was low on lives until someone pointed it out to me, and I was just like, wait, what? Right, lives exist, and all of a sudden there's this pressure and tension that I didn't want to be there, and all of a sudden every death goes from being a bump in the road and a learning opportunity to, God damn it. I mean, you saw it. I died, what was it, 4 hits from beating the game? From beating the game. Yeah. That's incredibly aggravating. And it's why I threw up the cheat flag and said, no, I'm just going to get right back there. Yeah, if I had to actually replay each of these games with lives, then I'd probably throw up the cheat flag and just use save states at this point in order to emulate an infinite life scenario. I'm good enough at Mega Man games to bypass needing lives, but that's not really something that's on the Mega Man games, and I have dinged Mega Man games for this exact thing. Most Mario games have the same general problem. And I mentioned this earlier, the first Mario game to finally ditch lives was freaking Odyssey in 2018 or 17 or whatever it came out. And as I was going back through, if you remember, for those of you who were there for our very, very first stream of Odyssey, it was like, oh my god, it was such a godsend to finally just be done with lives. We're done, we're good, they're gone, right? Yeah, Donkey Kong Country, it's the same freaking problem. Now, some games bypass the lives issue being an issue by virtue of how they work around the live systems. But most of them don't. Most of them use lives because 30 years of artifact design. Once again, if lives were a toggle, I'd replay this in a heartbeat. Because this is a really freaking good game. I'm never touching it again as is. Because I'm not dealing with that. Obviously, I'm going to keep playing it now because we're not done yet. We've got a whole other mode. I don't even know what it is. I have no idea what Encore mode is, so why don't we figure this out? Let's see here. Man, I have a lot of stuff up right now, actually. Close this. That's an interesting question, Frieza. What unlocks debug mode? Because I'm pretty sure I had to punch in a code for that. Yeah, medals is an interesting answer. I suppose how many medals would be the question then. Let's look that up. Sonic Mania, here we go. $16. That's a little bit out of the range of positive territory, I think. You have to do the Blue Sphere game. So you have to do 16 Blue Sphere games successfully in order to access debug mode nately. I believe you completely, Frieza. Yeah, I get it here. You've seen me do it a bajillion times. Here, hang on. Oh, it's this. Of course, now I can't even show it off properly. It's this. It's do. You get the blue spheres. That's it's actually called blue sphere. At least last I checked it is. Anyways, so we're not doing that. We're doing encore mode. Oh wait, no, hang on. Offshore Twitch account did actually want me to check something. Yeah, so we can be Sonic and Tails. We can be whoever that is. We can be whoever that is. We can be Knuckles. We can be Tails. We can be Sonic. Pretty sure that's everyone. Time attack. Apparently their names are Ray and Mighty. But yes, continues to be the answer. Oh my god, it's Sonic Forces. Yeah, I don't know who Mighty or Ray are. Sorry.
Knuckles!
Ah! Okay, Death Pit. It's okay, we have infinite lives, right? Keep trying stuff, you know? Like, we're not gonna die just because we ran out of lives, right? That's not a thing we have to worry about. I mean, having a stage select, even if it is time attack, is still a positive. We actually gave CD that, I think? One and only one of the previous games in the Origins collection actually had a proper stage select. I don't remember which one it was. I remember being weird because only the one game had it. Welcome to the Old West, Jay Palmer of Utah. Which, yeah, is kind of a nightmare fuel place. I actually agree with that completely. I notice there's no checkpoints, by the way. Still, time attack mode deserves its own best, and I will give it a nod for that. So, the completed save stage select isn't perfect. Because it only allows you to select a zone, I suppose, is the way I would call that. In other words, I can't go to... God damn it! Come on, Knuckles! No, he's still the same sloggy, terrible person he always has been. I can't go to, like, Act 2 right now from the stage select on the screen. I can just go to... What? Did you see that? Ah! It did it again! No! I got physicsed. That was so strange. I couldn't... Ah! I couldn't do the thing that I was trying to do. Still can't do it. Still can't do it. There we go. And we're dead. And no checkpoint, of course, so I'm just... you know what? I think we're good. I think we're good. Moving on. Moving on. What else we got here? Yeah, he has his own stage. Woo. But mighty! Well, let's just move on. Okay, so let's do this friggin' encore mode finally, shall we? Although, let me jot down a note really quickly. Super quick. Right here. Okay. Okay, so, yes. You know, I have my issues with this game, but God, it is shocking how much better than Forces this is. I even don't think Forces is, like, the worst game ever made. It's just, I can understand the mentality of Sonic players at the time when you get Mania and Forces alongside each other, right? Like that stark contrast. Telling you, get rid of lives and I'd be all over this. Just like in real life. Yeah, exactly. Imagine getting Mega Man 11 and X6 the same year. Although I'm not sure if Forces will end up being a net negative. What? 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 I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't select. I just kind of accidentally to the right. Oh, hey. Now we're playing Sonic Colors. Oh, come on. I already killed you. Whatever. Yeah, I noticed no lives counter, by the way. Okay. Yeah, I like the tutorialization immediately. It was like 2 screens, but they did a lot in those screens to get me into this is how he plays. That's right, if I die in this game, I die for real. It's the only way! It's the only way! Ugh, I'm free. I'm finally free. Wait, what? No! I can't live without Mighty. Oh, wow. You actually only have 1 life. Uh-huh. I suppose technically 1 life. Okay. We'll have to see how that goes. I'm not gonna do it offshore, I refuse! You may take away my life. You may take away my freedom. But you will never make me drop dash. Oops. Accidentally drop dash. No! I screwed up everything. I have failed you, my ancient ancestors, who made me swear on their dying graves as they were exploding to never drop dash again. What that gave me, but alright, whatever. Listen, Rainbow Dash is just awesome. That's all there is to it, Brazen Horse. I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess we're just suddenly getting a bunch of Star Trek games, now that Paramount has decided to completely screw themselves over and effectively kill Star Trek. Now we're getting Star Trek games. What? I'm so confused. Yeah, today, or like within the last 2 days, we've had both a Star Trek horror game and a Star Trek Colony Sim announced, like, out of absolutely nowhere. The Colony Sim is TOS era. The horror game is sometime post-TNG, but pre-Picard Season 3. Sure. Yeah, it's also, I should mention, the Star Trek horror game is made by Blooper. If that doesn't sound familiar, they made the Silent Hill remakes. You know, the really good ones. Why do these keep giving me nothing? Oh, there we go. So now I have Knuckles. Okay. I mean, keep in mind, we also just got a Star Trek Choose Your Own Adventure / management sim, which is really good. Can you add a horror game to the list, Mr. Red? No. But it's got Star Trek though. Yeah, I'm not that kind of fan. I'm not going to buy something because it has X on the label. I outgrew that when I was a kid. I actually have told this story because I remember there are two specific things that taught me that that was a fallacy. Both of them Nintendo, actually. One of them is the Nintendo cereal, which was terrible. And the other were the Mario Brothers shows, which were terrible. No offense to anybody who liked either. What kind of cereal was it? Land. You understand, this is the 80s, so cereal hadn't gotten quite as terrible as it is now yet. Don't look at me like that. This isn't a back-in-the-day thing. Almost every major food producer has been doing everything in their power to make their food as cheap as possible. It was still pretty bad. Okay, and now I'm Knuckles. Okay. Bye, Sonic. Nobody loves you. Bye. Yeah, the Colony Sim, you could probably add that to the list. What was that? What was that? Yeah, food in general has actually been getting steadily worse. It's not great. Done! Yes! Absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy that that's how that went. Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of people are like, hey, can I add this game to this? And I'm like, we don't even know what the genre is yet in some cases. Yeah, it's time to finally play Knuckles and Sonic. Okay. Yeah, so we've already seen this, so nothing's new. Right? Like, nothing's new. It's just the same stages. I have a very dumb question. Is there a reason to play all the way through the game again? I don't want to sound negative. I'm legitimately curious. Is this just the same game? I like the concept, legitimately, and this is definitely multiple positive worthy. But I don't think it's worth me actually going all the way back through the game again. Now, let's see if I can find a checkpoint and then not suck instantly. I wonder what the stream takes for this, you know, the encoding. Damn it. Oh, come on! Ah, no! Damn it, I was... You know what? Hang on, let's just redo that. Listen, nobody prefers Sonic in 3 over Mania. That's insanity. I am with you, though. And you know why, Kay? Because Sonic and Knuckles has infinite lives. No other reason, by the way. That's the reason. I know it's there. Okay. Suckitude removed. Right? Maybe? Oh my god. Oh my god. No! No! Ah! Go down! Why doesn't it go down? Ah! There, okay. Applause. No! Oh, whatever. How to play as the superior character. I will admit, of all of the games I've played, of the 4 or 5? I think 5 games so far, only one of them has actually had a plot. And it's Sonic in 3. No, I'm actually dead serious. The plot, I did not do that on purpose, to be very clear. Sonic in 3's plot is the Death Egg. I actually mentioned that in the review document. It's all about the Death Egg. And that's interesting. It's the only one with a plot so far. Even this game is like,
Ray!
I don't know, pick a stage, any stage. Except for the last stage. Do not pick the last stage. I will stab you. I will send Mr. Pink to your house, and he will force you to play Castlevania 3. Okay, even Mr. Pink would make someone play Castlevania 2. That's just cruel. I don't know who Daniel Pratt is, and I don't think I wanna. What, if you like Castlevania 2? What is wrong with you? Would be my answer to that question. Listen, nobody's actually a flat earther. I'm barely joking. I've actually given that theory before. I legitimately think that nobody with a functioning brain is actually a flat earther. Some dude, I don't know who this guy is. You're asking the wrong person. I am being serious about that. Obviously, I'm joking around. I shouldn't joke around. I legitimately think most people who say they're flat earthers aren't. I think they're doing it because they know it gets them attention, and because it gets them clicks, and because it gets them bonus points for being, like, anti-technology, which is a trend in several places right now. and anti-science and anti-physics, as well as that kind of edgy factor of, yeah, that's right, I don't think the Earth is round. It's that contrarian thing that humans are so good at. Some people will be contrarian purely for the sake of being contrarian, because that makes them feel like they're better or special or whatever. I do it too. I did it too. I should use past tense there. Back when I was a teenager. Yeah, it's a bullcrap contrarian. They don't actually mean what they're saying. They're just saying it so that they seem different. Again, I don't think most people who say that they're flat earthers are. I accept. But yeah, no, it's a very teenage mentality. It's because part of being a human being is establishing who you are, right? And one way to do that is to try and stand out, especially in a crowd. Yeah, fake moon landing. That's dumb. Anybody who has a functioning brain knows that's a really dumb thing to try and be like, oh man. But then again, I was told recently that Gene Roddenberry was actually visited by real aliens, which is why Star Trek is the closest thing to what we have ever seen in real life of real aliens. They don't believe that. They don't. It's attention, too. Even a baby will know to smack something in order to get their parents' attention. Actually, yes, Mr. Red. I've gotten some very strange stuff over the years in my Trek comments, let me tell you what. Hey, Noctis. See you around, J. Palmer. I mean, also, my Trek videos have been around for literally over a decade. By sheer virtue of exposure, I tend to have more stuff there, you know?
Go! New record!
What? Okay, go, peace. Thank you for the sub, Judah, or not Judah, sorry, Noctis X Hulk. Give me 1 second. I mean, I hate to say this, but every fandom is like that. Literally all of them. So we'll put that towards Far Cry 2, Teardown, and Interrogation. Done. Yeah, all the fandoms suck, to varying degrees. I will admit, of the various fandoms I have dipped my toes into, the Trek fandom is actually one of the better ones. For all the weird nonsense and the bizarrely racist assholes, most, like 98% of my encounters with Trek fans are pretty legit. Yeah, the other 2% is all Valerian. It's just Valerian. The worst fandom I've ever dipped my toes into? I mean, it's Star Wars. It's Star Wars by such a wide margin, it's ridiculous. So the real question is, what's the next worst?
Mighty!
Yeah, amongst my fandom, amongst my viewers, I had to ban discussion on the sequel trilogy, because it got bad. I briefly got the attention of, what's it called? No More Mutants, or No East Side Mutants, or something like that. I don't actually remember what it's called anymore. Yeah, the Fallout boomers. The assholes. I made the audacity... One of the earlier things I did was a video on Fallout 3, and I had the audacity of speaking positively about it. And that got the attention of a few people from that crowd. Thankfully, I then, like, immediately left their perception. And I haven't had to deal with that ever since, but that was fun. I have had to deal with the Lord of the Rings fandom several times. That's always been fun, because, as you know, I'm actually quite a bit of a fan of the movies. And let me tell you, that has gotten me some flack over the years. No, not the fact that I think the movies are better than the film. That's unrelated. Just the fact that I like the movies at all. Not that long, Valerian. However, you are correct in that there really is no good answer there, because naturally they didn't think about it. Why are you thinking about it? But you are correct. He would need a new lung, like an actually new lung. So, sorry, I didn't quite answer the question. So obviously the Star Wars fandom is the worst. That's a duh. There's no avoiding that. What's the second worst? Anybody want to jump on that? Because the Star Wars fandom is probably the worst for everybody. So what's your second worst? By great fortune, I have never had to deal with Undertale fans. I happen to really like Undertale. Did an Undertale theater. It was great. You should go watch it. Thank you, Bragwin, for the link. But yeah, I have thankfully completely avoided that fandom, and you know what? I'm happy about that. The Mega Man fandom is weird. Not particularly bad, legitimately, but just strange. Because most of the Mega Man fandom would be better described as the speedrunning community. You don't see a lot of... I don't like using this word, but I don't know what to call it. Casual Mega Man fans, right? You don't just see, man, Mega Man's cool. No. You see speedrunners and challenge runners. It's Mega Man, right? That actually really sucks, because I think several Mega Man games can be casually enjoyable. But, you know, whatever. Zelda fans, Pokemon fans, Mario fans. I can think of two fandoms I've often considered tied for the worst fandoms I've ever really encountered. But the answer is Dark Souls. The answer is the Soulsborne community. Screw them and everything about them. I have to periodically remind myself that those are a vocal minority, and that there's plenty of cool people who like Souls-likes. Because they are terrible and I hate them. However, the answer I was going to give is actually a tie between two other fandoms. One of them is Sonic. You haven't... I was going to kind of save this story a little bit for later when I actually am playing the 3D Sonics. But when I first started dipping into the Sonic series again, which was, I think I've told you, was right about Unleashed, I was like, hey, and started reaching out and trying to get what I could and see what I could and all kinds of fun stuff. And that was toxic
New record.
is the word I'm going to use. I'm just going to use the word toxic because I don't know what else to put there. It was bad. It almost put me off of playing Sonic in general. Now, thankfully, my friend Gary had a vested interest in playing the Sonic games anyways, and a lot of the modern Sonics had co-op mode, or a variant on co-op mode, and so we ended up just kind of playing together and kept going. If you ever wondered, by the way, that's why I played the modern Sonics. Because of Gary. Because, yeah, I've played Unleashed. Let's see, I played Unleashed, Black Knight, Colors, Generations, the Wii U one, I can't think of the name of. No, not Boom. I've played Forces on camera. I feel like I'm missing one. Lost World is the Wii U one. That might be it. Hang on, let me check the list here. I've obviously played Mania, but I did that on camera. I haven't played Frontier. Black Knight, there's Unleashed. I didn't play Secret, I've mentioned that. I have actually played 06. I have actually played 06. Anyways. No, I think that's actually it of the modern ones. Never mind. I think that's all of them, though, really. Except for Secret Rings. And obviously Frontier now. Oh, God. 06. Anyways. I mean, one of these days we should review 06, right? We need to know, right? We need to know how far down it goes. But yeah, the other one that tied for the worst fandom for me at the time, Doctor Who. Now, I'm almost positive that Eccleston was doing his run the last time I dipped my toes into the Doctor Who fandom. It was bad. There was a lot of noise in pretty much every direction. Some people hated the direction Doctor Who was going. Some people said it couldn't possibly hold up to the classics. Some people said it was better than the classics in every way. And it was awful. I was like, okay, I'm going to dip out of that. Yeah. Oof. And yeah, I've actually never dealt with bad MLP fans. I have dealt with the people who think I am a bad MLP fan, but I've never dealt with a bad MLP fandom myself. Are we done? I think we're actually done. I showed off the super optional boss, which we only get for all the emeralds. I showed off the extra stages. I might have... Hey, I'm going to chop off the guessing game now. If anybody wants to update their guess, it's a good time to do it. I'll give you hints. It's going to score pretty well. But like I said, I actually feel blessed because I usually get good interactions with fandoms. Because as Kay asks, what is a fandom? And as with most things, there's no definition that is going to work. No definition I give you will define it. So the way it tends to work in my brain is the fandom is, you know, the convention scene, the forums, the people who will actually go out to try and get stuff signed, the people who sign the petitions. It's the group. That's the important part. It's a whole group effort of people who tend to be sufficiently invested in X to make it a major part of their lives. Now, that's why the fandoms tend to have so many good and bad people in them, is because it's just a giant group of people, right? And I know this is going to sound shocking, but most people are people. I know. Bear with me. Sonic 06 comparison block. So, no, first of all, let me just start with that. I will look into Sonic 06 itself. Because I'm not sure if I have a way to play it. I'm not sure I have a vehicle by which to play Sonic 06 in the modern era. I'm legit. I'd have to look into it. I don't know how I would play it. I'll figure it out. I'll do my due diligence. I know that Project 06 exists But among other things, I don't really allow blocks anymore. In fact, I only made one exception for Rax because she's cool. And that's it. No more exceptions. A PS3 or 360? Well, that is bad. Surely there's something else. Hang on. There's got to be some other method. There's got to be some other method. Because I don't have a 360 and getting old. And PS3 games are banned for a reason. Hang on a sec. Here's an interesting question. Where's Sonic? Where's Project 06? Where's Project 06? Herzog 2? No! Well, see, that's kind of what I'm thinking, Rex. If I could get a properly emulated version of it, I've never emulated the PS3 because I have a PS3 right there. It's just becoming slowly more and more of a pain to actually use. You know what I could do? Hang on. I've got an idea. For Sonic 06, for the history, can I find PS3 copy specifically, not the Xbox copy? Because I could, hypothetically, buy a physical disc, which bypasses most of my issues with it. So the usual issue with the PS3 is I usually have to buy digital stuff in the PS3, because PS3. But if I could get a physical disc, that's a lot less of a pain to get running. Huh. Hang on. Do you guys mind waiting like 5 minutes? Is that cool? Here, have some music. I'll be right back. So a little over a year ago, I bought Sonic 06. Still in the wrapping, by the way. Because I always intended to cover it. And the moment I thought about it, the moment I thought I might someday want to cover it, I grabbed a physical copy of it. For exactly the same reason I was just talking about. I will allow that to go to Sonic 06. But yeah, we do stuff in order. Even if somehow magically Sonic Frontiers got funded today, I wouldn't play it until we're done with everything else. The only exceptions to that are things that are weird, like the Final Fantasy series, which I'm kind of doing in a weird preference order, if that makes sense. And even that, I just want to cover a couple other games before we move on to hitting the series proper. It will, Mike. Your name is Mike Clamato. I don't even care. I don't even care. Blame Twitch, not me. Okay, so let's lock down the guessing game. If you haven't guessed right now, well, I just gave you like 5 minutes. You've had plenty of time. Because we're going to play like a dragon. Hopefully, someday. I suppose Yakuza is something we should be doing in order, isn't it? Because that's a linear story. It's like Assassin's Creed, or Ratchet and Clank, for that matter. Yeah, Superstars, I'm pretty blind. But everyone doesn't get money. No, you know what? You know what? I'll be nice. I'll be nice. Nobody actually spoiled anything about Superstars. I'm going to finish up tonight because I don't know if you've looked at the review document. I have an insane amount of typing to do. Like, look at positives number 44 to 91. That's a lot. It's okay, I don't actually have to Wolverale because we have a blanket... I can't think of the word. Forbidden. There we go. We have a blanket forbidden on any generative AI stuff. You know, I got a lot of typing to do tonight. I'm going to be a little bit less verbose than usual because, honestly, so much of the level design is just... It's good level design. I don't want to repeat myself over and over and over and over and over. Like, look at some of those maps and tell me that you could just be like, oh, yeah, no. This leads to that, leads to this, leads to that. After a while, it gets old. And listen, this is great music, but why don't we go ahead and do this instead? Okay. I noticed nobody guessed as high as Yoshi's Island. Nope, no kit positives. No music positives either. We're done! We're done! No positive for the drop dash. If Sonic Mania has a sunshine point for me, and this is true, it would be the last stage. It would be the Titanic Monarch. If I do ever replay this game, even with infinite lives, I'm probably just going to skip that stage. Like, I'll reach Titanic Monarch and be like, yep, I'm good. It's a pretty good sunshine point. Like, for example, I do have a sunshine point in Final Fantasy VII. It's the last dungeon. Sound familiar? There are worse places to have a sunshine point. Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's the stage I remember. Yep. Actually, there is such a concept for royal floofness. It's extremely rare, but it does happen. I don't have a term for that. Gaming as a whole has a term for that. It's called "it gets good after X hours." You've probably heard that statement before, possibly even word for word. You know, it gets good after blank hours. Final Fantasy X too, right? Sonic 3. Yeah, almost every MMO has a "it gets good after blank" kind of a concept. Hi, Zar. Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely true for television shows in general, including Star Trek, like every Star Trek. Yep, yeah, this is how I remember this stage. Yeah, growing the beard is another terminology for this. What? I'm sorry. Hold on. Hold on. I need to rewatch that. Because I missed that. Okay. I do not understand what I'm looking at. I mean, okay, that's not true. I've seen Half-Life speedruns. I understand the concept of bounce. So, in a lot of games, when you're jumping, it doesn't add in the formula to lower your speed back to your speed cap. So if you consistently jump, you bunny hop. And Tails is just like, what? What you got? Tails is just like, yeah, I got you, fam. That's cool. What's up? And we'll call that good. Tails is like, are these levels bothering you, Sonic? Let me deal with them for you. Oh, thank you, Sonic. Or thank you, Tails. Whatever your name is. Thank you, Rex. Unrelated, but still true. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me, Crazy Norse. I should have just, like, played as Tails this whole time. Little did I know. Yeah, I noticed the bumpers thing. Rex, you didn't put it towards anything. In fact, you didn't put a message at all. Oh my god, Rex. Blink once if you're being held hostage, and blink twice if you've secretly been possessed by an alien, but you're just barely, like, you're exerting your will to try and resist the mind control, and the only way you can think of to, like, trick the alien into letting you inform someone that you're being mind controlled is to donate to me. So blink twice, is what I'm trying to say. Or maybe don't, because I can't help you. Like, who do you think the aliens report to? Thank you for the donation either way, Rex. I hope you're not being controlled by my fellow aliens. It's very rude. I keep telling him, replace, don't mind control. What are we, savages? Sonic 06, Tunic, and Axiom Verge 2. You got it. I wonder if they even will prisoners. Like, they might not have any reason to. That being said, I've seen it over on, I guess that would be Sonic 3. And they just blaze those things. Oh, excuse me. And I'll put that towards Hitman, Blood, Money, R, Scribble Knots, and RNC3. Up your arsenal. Thank you, offshore Twitch account. It's really good music. I don't know what you want from me. I don't know what you want from me. Less positives. Well, you're playing the wrong game for that. Someone do me a favor. How many story positives did Sonic 3 and Tree get? Story positives. How many story positives? I don't actually know how much people speedrun this. Believe it or not, I haven't seen a lot of speedruns of this. I'm not saying it's not popular, I'm just saying I haven't seen a lot. I'm sure it is. 17. That's what I thought. Hey, Kay, this game got a higher story score than Sonic 3. Let's see. Yeah, even Sonic 06 is a popular speedrun game, which, as I think I've mentioned, was my introduction to Sonic 06. Yeah, they're finally releasing Valheim. Never thought it would happen. Kind of legitimately mean that like that. I'm not actually memeing. How the hell did he dodge? Okay, whatever. Oh, all the time, Crazy Horse, yeah. Let's see. Most boss positives we've given any Sonic game so far. No shock there. Most control positives we've given any Sonic game so far. No shock there. Well, we'll get to that in a second. I do negatives separately. Yep, this is how I remember this level. It's just... Tails just does this. Being an immortal demigod, like, lends itself towards this, you know? What? What? No, I heard it in the background. He hit the boss rapid fire very quickly off camera. Here, listen. Did you hear that? See, that's the thing. The drop dash was Sonic's attempt to try and replicate Tails. No, you're right. That is just... I'm wrong. I'm wrong. That's the sound of opening up the case. So he opened up the case without triggering the boss, is what actually happened there. I'm wrong. Most kit positives, by the way, speaking of. Anybody want to guess if this is the most level positives we've ever given? Anyone want to guess that it isn't the most level positives? Okay, here's a better question. By how much? What's funny is I actually do want to do an audit of Mario Wonder, for the same reason I want to do an audit of Secret of the Stars, and StarCraft 2 for that matter. It is so far up the list, I feel like a more thorough polishing pass could get a more accurate review of it. And it's an excuse to replay Wonder. I'm being serious though, I do want to do an audit of Mario Wonder someday. Wonder was joy. And I know that's weird that I sound sad when I say that, but it's true. It's very, very, very rare that you hear me use that word when it comes to game design. I'm trying not to oversell this because, you know, Rax hasn't played it. I know she's going to be like, I'm expecting crack cocaine to be pumped into my veins for this game, and I don't want to oversell it. It's just, it was a joy game. It was a game that made me grin the entire time I was playing it. I have reviewed Mario Wonder pretty soon after it came out, actually. I have not done Odyssey. I'm saving Odyssey. Might actually be interesting to do Odyssey and Wonder side by side. Yeah, Wonder's just a good game. Odyssey's a good game. Yeah, Mario Wonder is the drop dash of the Mario series. I should mention, to really emphasize my point, I'm not that big of a Mario fan. I know that sounds strange, but it's true, I'm not. It wasn't until... it's kind of debatable, actually. I don't know the difference off the top of my head, Big, I'm sorry. It's kind of... I'm trying to think, like, what was the first Mario game I really got into? Because I played all of them. I played all of them as they came out. But, like, what was the first Mario game that really clicked with me? Because it wasn't 3. And it wasn't World. I think it was actually Yoshi's Island. But even that feels cheating, because then there was, like, this dip. Because then they went on to N64, which, even back in the day, I wasn't super in favor of, because it was so experimental, it was problematic. And Sunshine is called Sunshine Syndrome for a reason. So yeah, I think it might be Galaxy, is when I really started falling in love with the Mario franchise. And there's just this weird asterisk of also Yoshi's Island. Just by the by. I wasn't counting the RPGs. I liked every RPG. I liked Super Mario RPG. I liked Paper Mario 1. I liked Paper Mario 2. And that was all of them. Oh, 3D World was legit. No, actually, a short Twitch account. There's a reason why Wonder's biggest competitor is Odyssey. I am legitimately not sure which one is going to win that battle, but either way, they're both going to be titans. Damn it, I keep forgetting this stupid thing. And actually, I liked all of the Mario and Luigi's. Let's go with all. To varying What? Degrees. Well, Luigi 1 was fun, but way, 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 way too hard. It has a lot of early game, first game things. Let's okay, I'm gonna die in a couple of weeks here, Mr. Red, and then I'll never be able to play Mario. Let's see. It's great. It's gonna be great. But yeah, Mario & Luigi 1 was okay. Mario & Luigi 2 was good. Mario & Luigi 3 is fantastic. Mario & Luigi 4, I think I'm one of the only people in the world who actually liked Mario & Luigi 4. It has several pretty serious issues, to be very clear. Mario & Luigi 4 is probably one of the most over-tutorialized RPGs I've ever played. And it's aggravating. And it is absolutely aggravating, to be very clear about that. But the game underneath that is still quite good. 5 is when I start to get into asterisks. Yeah, 5 is Paper Jam, and 5... I've never beaten 5. The first time I beat it will be on camera. Yeah, Paper Jam is the asterisk, and again, we'll see when we get there. There's a 6? Oh, there is! No, I haven't played Brothership at all. I actually own it. I forgot 6 even existed. No, I haven't touched that yet. Okay, boring audit done. Let's do the audit. Hello, Elazar. If you wanted me to curate your Mario & Luigi arc, I would say play 2 if you can, 3 definitely, 4 maybe. Be willing to put down 4 if you're not into it, and then that's it. Because I don't know anything else. I don't know Brothership, and I don't recommend Paper Jam. For the Mario RPGs, I've already mentioned that one. Play 1, play SMRPG, the remake. Play Paper Mario 1, play Paper Mario 2, the remake. End statement. It is within the realm of possibility that the recent one is actually good. I have not played it. Origami. Actually, there is going to be a story. That's what the audit is there for. I'll switch it down. But I'll go ahead and jot that down now since you just mentioned it. Yeah, sticker stars, whatever. I am actually probably one of the bigger defenders of Color Splash. But Color Splash is weird because its gameplay is pretty bad. Like, really bad. But its story is actually kind of solid. Like, I never thought they could take Shy Guys and make them horrifying, but here we are. Yeah, 1 second, sorry. I can't read your question. Give me a second, please, please, please. I'm gonna lose my track here. I should give an external continuity positive for the fact that this leads into forces. No. What, the one from Luigi's Mansion offshore Twitch account? Yeah. There's a reason that's not really canon anymore. Is that the boss starting after he beat it? Oh my god. This dude, I swear. Yeah, we just locked it down like 10 minutes ago. That was right. Gotta get your guesses in earlier. Plenty of time. Persona 4 Revival Remake. Is it replace Persona 4 Golden? That is not my decision to make. I actually don't know the difference. Like, I can't actually answer that. Because I know with, I think it was Persona 3? There's several versions of Persona 3 and they're not equivalent. Like, some of them have some content and some of them have other content, right? It's an FF4 situation. How is it? Reloaded replaces FES, but not portable. That's the thing. I knew there was something there. Either way, the long and short answer is, boo. Boo. Yeah, that boing sound, that's actually me going, boo. Yeah, the smog is different color, I noticed that. And we bugged out the music. You can never fund Sonic 06, Elizar. I will never have a physical copy of Sonic 06 right on my desk right now. Ever. Yeah, Sue! God, what a lame villain. Can I just say that? Shido was not an interesting villain. At all. Some of the villains were more interesting than others. Obviously, the first villain, for all his horribleness, is the most interesting one. But Shido was just a boring pile of cardboard. Pathetic, whiny little corporate ninny who has delusions of godhood. What an idiot. The last villain of Royal I liked, too. I'll agree with that. I'll sue, Sean! Sorry. Yeah, and here's the thing. You gotta understand, and I want to stress this for just a second. You know that billionaires aren't interesting, right? Like, let me try to explain this badly. Name a villain you think is, like, in fiction. A fictional villain who's kind of sketchy, but still interesting, right? Just anybody, off the top of your head. Queen Chrysalis. Hojo. Hojo is actually a perfect example. We'll go with Hojo. For anybody who knows Hojo, he's like, whoa, but he's still interesting. He's still an engaging character with some charisma and some performance, some good motion capture, some voice acting, etc. There's interest in Hojo. Real-life billionaires are that minus the interesting part. I want to stress that this is not me trying to insult them. This is me trying, in my own terrible way, to explain how these are. Like, yeah, they're empty skin suits. They're creepy. Not in an interesting or fun way. Not in a, oh my god, that villain is so villainous way. Just in a, makes you feel dirty for being around them kind of a way. It's gross. Any exceptions? Statistically speaking, probably not. By sheer virtue of being a billionaire, you kind of have decided to opt in to some really, really, really horrible things. Yeah, he's so poor, all he has is money. Exactly. By contrast, Lex Luthor, that's an interesting character. Several versions of Lex Luthor are interesting characters. And that's why he's fictional. Hell, the main villain of Metal Gear Revengeance is another interesting... I know he's not a billionaire, but, like, he fulfills some of the same qualities of that, right? I mean, I did an entire video on that villain just because I felt like it, just because I wanted to talk about it. Dude shows up for 20 minutes and steals the show the entire story. That's not even a joke. Do you know how many people still think of him as, like, the main story beat of the game, even though he's only in 20 minutes of the game? I mean, don't mistake me. People still talk about, like, Jetstream Sam and stuff like that, but most of the talk is around the big boy. Actually, yeah, that's another good example. That's a good example for us. True, Dream Whisper. It's not a very long game. It's still true, though. Like, this is something I've talked about before. Logically speaking, you know, the longer your character gets exposure, the more interesting you can make them. But that's because you have more time to develop them. It takes a great deal of work and care to make a character interesting in 20 minutes. We just saw this with Jedi Fallen Order. With Prof, right? And arguably with Trilla, who has very little actual screen time in Jedi Fallen Order, and nevertheless is the best character in that game. It's interesting, Chill Pangolin, and easily deserving its own positives. Yeah, exactly, Ross. The money's just the excuse so he can keep being Batman. It's there to kind of hand-wave, like, How does he have all this gear and tech? Dutch is awesome. Mostly in the second game, I'm not gonna lie. But, I mean, he's still very interesting for his, what, like 10 minutes of screen time? Maybe not even that. 5 minutes of screen time in the first game. He just shows up out of nowhere, and it's like, wow, this is Dutch? Jesus Christ. Yep, this is exactly how I remember this stage. Yeah. Yeah. Farm boy from Kansas. What, Xanatos, Diligent Dodo? He's another interesting one. And once again, a billionaire who's engaging. Dude, that would be awesome, Rex. Although Mario Wonder kind of already has that baked in. But yeah, Xanatos is engaging. He's smart, he's pragmatic, he's more than willing to work with you. He doesn't mind that much when he loses. And I know that sounds strange, but part of the reason I think Xanatos stuck with people so much is he came out in an era where most villains were like, no, I have been defeated, how could this possibly happen? Xanatos is just like, oh, okay. Or, oh, well, I guess that furthers my other plan I had going on here. And that's it. It was nice to see that variance. I don't even know what those are, Elizar. So by definition, I cannot speak to them. Yeah, there's a reason we call it the Xanatos Gambit, exactly. Oh hey, is this the worst stage in the game? Because I think it is. It's frickin' orbs. I'm gonna write a paragraph about those orbs, I swear to God. Alright. Oh no, he already did the worst stage, my bad, I missed that. Zek! You know? Not wrong. I would actually say Act 1 is worse. Act 2 was fine. In fact, I walked back some negatives for Act 2. The biggest problem I had with Act 2 is it's too long. And it is. It's just a gigantic stage. Or rather, it's 4 big stages kind of crammed into one. And it's like, okay, come on, man. By contrast, the first stage did a lot, which I hesitate to refer to as objectively wrong. No, I noticed, Diligent Toto. And yeah, the boss should have just been a separate zone. We were talking about that in its relation to Ninja Gaiden, which Rex didn't even listen to the whole write-up I gave. Did a whole write-up for her, and she's just like, die in a fire. Nobody likes you. I was like, I know. It's okay. Yeah, I wasn't super impressed with the final boss, frankly. I've seen better in this franchise. Yeah, exactly, Diligent Toto. No, the big problem I kept having... Why are the hands green instead of red? The big problem I kept having is... the orbs completely interrupt the flow of just playing the game. You remember I talked about the 1-2 go? You remember that? 1-2 go... Let me... Hang on. Pause, because this is done anyways. Let me explain 1-2 go for a second, okay? You're zooming along, you're zooming along, you're zooming along, you're zooming along, you hit a thing. 1, 2, go! And then you take off again, right? Sonic 2, a bit of Sonic 3, and Sonic Mania all had this concept. Sometimes it was a launcher, sometimes it was a pad, sometimes it was a grabber. In Hydrosity, I think it was, there's the things where you hit it and like a little dude picks you up and you start spinning up some speed and then you take off. That's a 1-2. When you hit the little gray launchers that are like claw hands and grab you, bam, and then they launch you off, that's a 1-2 go. It's a very, very, it's actually really hard to pull off in stage design. And most Sonic games that we just mentioned do it very well. And then there's the orbs. The orbs are red light. They just completely interrupt the flow. Okay, hang on. Let me line this up a little bit. Okay. Okay, hang on. Let me line this up. Okay, hang on. Oh, I missed. Hang on. And almost every single one of those the reason I kept calling it hell is because almost every single one of those was in a vertical column, which meant any screw-up meant either plummeting to the bottom or trying to catch yourself on something on the bottom so you don't plummet to the bottom. So it interrupts the flow twice. Once just the movement itself, and once any mistake is penalized severely by forcing you to redo the entire damn section all over again. I still have some of those specific sections in my head, like burned into my brain, because I did them 3 goddamn times. Did I look up the other final boss? No! I beat the crap out of the other final boss. It took me 2 tries, I'm going to be honest, because I didn't know what the controls were. Yeah, exactly. That's why I kept screwing up at him. Eggman, inching away. Come back. Come back, Robotnik. Oh, he did. See in forces. Or generations, or wherever you're going. Wait, what? Where's the boss? Where's the boss? No! Alright, hold up. Hang on. I gotta find here the secret ending. Shut up. Oh, God, shut up. Why are you talking? You got this, Knuckles. And also Knuckles. We actually did that too, Chill Penguin. Although I did die on it, which caused some issues, but... And then... this other thing happened. I love how Sonic's over there like, what is he on about? I don't know. And that's it, right? It's the still. Yeah. I do not agree to Storm Mage. Hey Rax, who's that known sex pest who Sega willingly worked with and had no issues working with for actual years, despite knowing he was that horrible? This is a real story. Also, I'm just going to ignore the fact that Sega almost assuredly does have ties to the real-life Yakuza. Let's just ignore that for a second. No, not Quentin Flynn. That's a much more complicated story. I think I lost Rax. She'd probably know what I'm talking about. Wow. Yakuza... Okay, hang on. Sega, Yakuza, sex offender. Let's just look that up. Teruyuki Kagawa. Is that him? I don't know if that's him. Hang on, let me rewind here. It's really good music. Is that him? Is that the dude? Yeah, that's the dude. That's the dude. Yeah, anyways, no, Sega's not great. End statement. Like, when you get to the big companies, it really depends on what you consider worst. What metric are you using? Because there's so many flavors of bad, right? Because you know what's not worse? Is this game. So, Sonic Mania, plus 22 to story, that's way over average. That's about 3 positives per hour and 100% ratio. All of that's good. All that's very good. And I believe that's our best Sonic story so far. Gameplay. Class 85. That's pretty far above average. So when I say for average, I should mention that I'm counting per genre. So this is just 2D platformers, which are kind of known for having good gameplay. Yeah. For a bit of perspective, the average gameplay for a 2D platform is 29, which if that doesn't sound impressive, then I don't know what else to tell you. Having an average gameplay of 29 for a genre is actually really high. Anyways, what did Wonder get? 211. So plus 85 is bonkers good. It's one of the highest ones on the list. And that is 11 gameplay positives per hour. And a ratio of I apparently can't type, because that's not what the ratio is. There we go, that's the ratio. 85%. This is a good game. Let's look at the top. So there's Mario Wonder, whatever, moving on. Shovel Knight, which is cheating. So Mario Wonder is insane, and Shovel Knight is cheating. So let's start with the actual top of the list, which is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze at 486. Right behind that is Yoshi's Island at 449, and right behind that is Mega Man 11 at 430. And right behind that, it's actually a bit of a drop down, I'm going to be honest with you, but it's still really up there. Why is Shovel Knight cheating? Because Shovel Knight's score includes every Shovel Knight game into one. The highest scoring individual Shovel Knight is still a very high scoring game. That's Spectre Knight, specifically at 280. But all of the Shovel Knight games combined is 530. Where's the guessing sheet? Where's the guessing sheet? I was just looking at it. Sorry, I've got a lot of pages up because I got a lot of stuff to keep track of here. There it is. Who won? Ha! So, I would love to say that this game broke 400, but it didn't. I'm very sorry. I honestly think it probably could have, if not for a few issues and, of course, the lives problem. But it did break 300, and it is the next highest game behind Mega Man 11 at 317.18. That is a freaking high score. That is one of the best platformers we've ever covered. Yeah. That also means Ben One Eye wins. Congrats, Ben One Eye. Yeah, I know. Try to be shocked. Mania is damn good. Yeah, no kidding, off your Twitch account. Good night, listeners. And I'll put that towards Civilization 4, Knights of the Old Republic 2, and Kingdoms of Amalur. Birthday present. I swear to God, if you don't get some kind of cheesecake or something, we're going to have words. Yeah, Mania might be our king for the foreseeable future. It would not surprise me if it retains that slot for a while amongst the Sonics. Like, that's a crazy good score. I'm just looking at it, and like, I've double-checked the math a couple of times to verify, and yeah, that beats Cyber Shadow, that beats Celeste, that beats Spectre Knight, that beats Mega Man X1, that beats New Super Mario Bros. U, that beats Mega Man 5, that beats Curse of the Moon 1 and 2. Like, if you know anything about these games, you know that all of those are bangers. So, take that for what it's worth. It's actually not that much better than Celeste. It's pretty close in score, but I do agree that it's better. Celeste had an overall higher story score for obvious reasons. Whereas Mania mostly took that on the gameplay axis. I would love to start Superstar tonight, but I have an essay to type up to justify all those positives. But first I want to answer Ross's question, because I've actually been thinking about that lately. I was talking about that just last night. Just last night I was talking to my friend as we were playing WoW. It feels weird to basically have covered all the historically significant 2D platforms. I don't think there's any others. I don't think there's anything else. Like, we haven't covered the Raymans, but honestly, how much of an impact do those really have? And that's it. Like, we haven't covered the Half-Lifes for first-person shooters, right? We haven't covered a lot of RPGs. We haven't covered several BRPGs, CRPGs, and JRPGs. You know, we barely touched the Kingdom Hearts series, we barely touched the Final Fantasy series, we haven't done much for the Dragon Quest. You know, we haven't... There's most genres, there's a whole bunch of stuff we haven't touched on as far as historically significant. But we've kind of covered the big names when it comes to 2D platformers. So I legitimately think, going forward, Gex is the most historically significant. Yeah, a lot of the 3D platformers, too, in pretty much the same vein. I legitimately think that we've covered most of the big names, and going forwards, it's going to be up to New Bloods, right? We got plenty of New Bloods. We got Gravity Circuit, we've got Axiom Verge 2, we've got... I can't remember. I know there's several. There's several on my radar right now. Freedom Planet, that's another one. Like, we've got other stuff. Yeah, Cyber Shadow was something like that. So was Celeste, actually. But I think that's it. I think we've kind of swept the history of 2D platformers, at least, again, as far as the big names. We will be covering several more 2D platformers because the NES block and the SNES block loom, but all of that is stuff that most of you have never even heard of. So it's interesting to think about. And it's kind of weird, but a little satisfying to look back and say we've covered the Mega Mans, we've started covering the Kirbys, we've covered the Marios, we've started covering the Sonics, right? Like we've hit the Mega Man X's, we've hit the Mega Man Z's, we've swept the Shantaes. We've actually covered every Shantae game at this point in time. We've hit Shovel Knight, you know. I'm still amused that the recent Shantae was like one of the best ones, like just out of nowhere. Yeah, there it is. Shantae Advance. Real quick, if you haven't played Shantae Advance, I recommend it. It is the best of the Shantae games, according to my review system. And I actually agree with my own statement. It was shockingly good. I was expecting something more like the one after Half Genie Hero, Seven Sirens, which was just kind of a little, eh. It was fine. It was like, eh. And instead I got Shantae Advance, which was like, yeah! You can quote me on that. Professional game review right here. There's a difference between eh and yeah! And on that bombshell, I'm gonna go type up an essay. Tomorrow we play Superstar. Don't say anything. Don't do it. Don't mention anything.